So anyway, enough about us. Should we crack on to the cricket, Peter? That's why we're here, isn't
I don't know if I want to be honest. Should we just cut it there? It's like England were
it?
rubbish in Australia
The
and India. End of
shortest
podcast.
podcast
Cheers.
episode you'll ever get.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes,
I have to say that as much as India and Australia were good, and I'm not saying that they weren't at all. I think that England, men and women, this last month or so have been pretty poor, particularly with
yeah,
the bat in both cases, but they've been pretty poor. I think I think most of the even the worst Sunday league teams will tell you, even at the depths of their village despair, that if you lose 3 or 4 wickets in a row again and again, like England men's did, 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose a game. And if you drop 7 catches in an innings, not a game, just an innings, 9 times out of 10, like England women did, you're going to lose the game. I think England at the moment are really good at giving the opportunity to, in this case, England, to Australia and India, a chance to win. We'll
hmm
put ourselves into a decent situation within a game and then say, all right, well, we're going to give you a chance now. Here it is. And it's either dropping catches, collapsing wickets, or something like this. And the class of Australia and the class of India, both on home soil, by the way, will just go, yeah, all right. And then that's what's happened here. We've been pummeled by the Aussie women, and we've been pummeled by the Indian men as well. And if you want to combine our defeats, it's something like 21 to not England. So that's nice. It's been a bad time to be an England fan, I think.
it has. Yeah, it has. We'll no, we'll make a start on the men's team. We lost the T20 series to India. The last match. Um, it was not only England's worst ever T20 defeat, it was our shortest ever innings of international cricket, lasting, I think it was 10 overs and two balls. I think we got to just over halfway
Yeah, I
in our
think so. Yeah.
T20 innings, and it is officially it's the shortest amount of time England have ever batted in the history of cricket.
Well, here's another one on top of that. Abhishek Sharma, obviously amazing, and we'll talk about him. Abhishek
Yeah.
Sharma scored more runs than all of England did in the fifth T20, and he batted for less time than England did in all of the T20. And someone on Talksport made a really good point of basically saying that England lost by an innings. They lost by 150 runs. They might not have got that if they had a second go at it. It was so bad.
The idea of potentially losing a T20 by the equivalent of an innings is like it's one of these where I think if you don't laugh, you'll cry or just get really angry because I, I'm sorry, I don't really care. We're playing a very good team at the minute in their own backyard, but there's just no excuse for that. It was abysmal. And I think you can cite plenty of different issues with it, not quite knowing what the strongest team is and this and that, but I just don't think there's no excuse for an international cricket team to just get beat so heavily and so comfortably. As you said, I mean, it's going back to the shortest ever innings. It's just it's hard to put into words to be honest, but it's so bad. And you're looking back, and there's a couple of for me the only two England players who can come out with any, well maybe three, who can come out with a bit of credit was Phil Salt with the bat, and Mark Wood and Bryden Castle with the ball. In just talking about that last game,
Mm,
obviously,
mm.
they were still on the expensive side, but they took the wickets, and they were still a lot less expensive than other English bowlers. And I think Cast is one of these players where we know he's going to be a major part of that England bowling setup for a few years now. And I think it's important to have him as part of the T20 team as well because we know he can bat a bit. We know that he's not going to have that long left in his career. We kind of just need to enjoy him as much as we can before he does call it a day. And it was brilliant to see him, causing issues in India, which he has done over the years in the past. But apart from that, it was just Yeah, it's like you said before, Peter, it was too easy. And I know Sharma's innings was incredible, but it was just far too easy for India just to score the massive total what they got in the end. And, I think we got off to a decent start. Salt's got us to, he kind of had us flying out the traps, but it's a pretty sorry scorecard after Phil Salt, isn't it? When you look back.
Yeah, yeah. I think that we were always going to find it hard to chase 240 odd when you were expecting to get 12 and over to a ball from the get go.
Yeah.
But if we'd got to something like 150, 180, would have been fairly respectable. You know, this was not, and I think this is almost repeating what we said when England were last in India, and we were talking about whether India out baseballed us in India. I think they've certainly outplayed us in our game plan of being positive and going after the ball.
Hmm.
And just by playing normal shots, there was talk about Abhishek Sharma's innings. Again, amazing. Probably the best innings I've ever seen as a T20 in a T20 game, I would say. Um, but I was watching the highlights again this morning, and there was no crazy switch hits, like flat bat shots. They were all forward down the pitch, coming down the pitch to spinners like Adil Rashid. And some of the ways that England got out were almost the complete opposite. Harry Brook got out to a sweep. Liam Livingstone got out to a sweep. Jos Buttler tried to get out hitting the ball as hard as he can. I mean, I thought that you got told not to do that when you were about 10, you know? Uh, it was, and I don't want to criticize international players that are 10 times better than me and what I will ever be. But there's got to be a bit of game sense. And it's the same thing across the series. I think that England just lacked game sense across the series. The second T20, we could have won, but we were 20 runs short because our batters just gave the wickets away at crucial times. In the fourth T20, yes, there was controversy around the bowling of Hashit Rana, but Chakravarti has been our absolute tormentor for 5 games. See him out, Harry Brook. You've just hit a 50. See him out. You don't need to go after him. You need to be there in the last 4 overs to push us to the end. It was, yeah. I think there was just it's all fair and well being positive, and Abhishek Sharma showed this. You can be positive and go and hit a 50 off 17 balls. You can be positive and try and leather everything and side swipe everything and get out for 97. We've been gone too far the other side, I think.
Yeah, we have. I think the problem is it comes down to sort of, yeah, it's the game management. And, you know, we know that T20 can be very fine margins. It's no secret that games can be won and lost in an over. And I think this series is, we've kind of seen both the extremes of that. We've seen, like I said, there was a case where, we lost one of the games by a fairly narrow margin, and it was a case of, if there was just a bit more common sense and a bit more kind of England taking a step back and just kind of assessing the situation, just a little, no, just take a little bit more time to just work out the best way to go about the next period of play, then, all of a sudden we've won more than one game in this series. But then the complete opposite end, we've had a case of, you know, we've backed ourselves into a corner in this last game. Obviously India were very good. They were great value for their 247, but it was a case of, we had to get out there from the off, and we put the foot down from the very beginning, but we just didn't have it always felt like it was going to be, it was always going to be uphill, but it just kind of felt like I never really felt confident that England would get anywhere close. I didn't think we'd not get to three figures. I've got to be honest. I was thinking, yeah, maybe 150, 160, lose to about about 80 run margin, but no, not to lose by 150 runs. That was not what I expected. But no, I mean, it just needs another rethink. I think. We've got the ODI series coming up now, thick and fast. I've just checked there to start on Thursday. Um, Obviously, it's going to be a slightly different lineup, but yeah, we took an absolute beating. I don't think there's any other way to describe it really. I think we showed glimpses of what we can do, but overall, I mean, India thoroughly deserved to beat us pretty comfortably, to be honest.
Yeah, and they've been the better team in every single game. Even the game that we won, India were the better team. And we only really won that game because we bowled really well in that game. And Mark Wood, we won because Mark Wood and Adil Rashid put 20 runs on at the end of the innings, not because our batters set a total and our bowlers defended it. Because Mark Wood and Adil
Yeah.
Rashid set
And how
20 odd
how many
extra
times
runs.
in any format has that happened in recent years with England where a couple of the bowlers have come in and actually actually dug us out with the bat?
Yeah. I think it benefits us batting quite deep, um, especially when our top order and our middle order are offering nothing. I've really got to be honest with you. I don't think there's any batter in there whatsoever. Forget the 50s that Duckett and Salt and Butler made. I don't think there's a single batter that can come out of that series saying I did all right there, because
Hmm.
150, especially Phil Salt, who basically got nothing the rest of the series. I don't think he can. I don't think he can count that as a good series. I think
No,
I think Liam Livingstone basically did nothing with the bat, and he's meant to be the person that comes in at the end and sort of holds everything together. Jacob Bethel, Jamie Smith were in and out before I had the chance to sit down on the sofa. And every time I saw them, I don't understand. Maybe because an opportunity to rest him and rotate him because he plays so much cricket. But Joe Root has got to get back in his T20 side because he can be an anchor when everyone else around him is teeing off, and he offers 4 overs of decent spin. He's been bowling well I think he's been in the UAE. He might have been in
Mhm.
South Africa, but he's been in one of those T20 series and been bowling really well. I think I think Will Jacks it seems odd that he's not there, despite him being having part of the T20 series for quite a while. I think there's got to be some sort of change in that top order. I think Jamie Overton has done okay, but perhaps maybe they're looking for bringing him a step down or two, because I don't think he's a seven. Bryden Cast actually has done okay as well. And in fact, actually, on that note, I think the only people that will walk out of that India T20 series with a shred of happiness and going and thinking, I've done okay, is obviously Adil Rashid, who, apart from in the fifth game, was superb. I don't know
Mhm.
how we're going to replace him. We aren't going to replace him. I think Bryden Cast can hold his head up high and go, actually, I think I bowled quite well, and I chipped in with the bat every now and then. And Jamie Overton did okay, I think. I know I just said I think he needs to come down to 8 or 9, but I think he did okay. No one else, I think, can really hold their head up and go, I think I did okay. Jofra Archer, I'm going to say it was expensive and didn't look
Yeah.
like he had a plan B. He was quick, but once Abhishek Sharma realised that he was just going top of off, that was it. He came down the pitch to him and he was hitting him straight back over his head or over extra cover. Jofra was expensive. Mark was expensive. Yeah. Oh, actually, and Saki Mahmood, who got one game, got 3 wickets in an over, and then got one game.
You
Discuss. I
see,
don't
it's
understand
things
that.
like that where, yeah, I mean, I get how, I get the desire to rotate, especially bowlers in a 5 match series like this in India. But I just think surely if a player performs well, you keep them in because surely they're there on merit. I don't know how much planning goes in, sort of goes in ahead of, how far in advance we know what the team's going to be, like, a couple of games in advance. But yeah, it just seemed crazy to give him his one game where he takes three in and over, then we don't see him again.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just don't get the mindset behind that. But no, I mean it was a T20 series. What it's just passed us by really, and yeah, I think the white ball game. it's becoming a bit of an issue now, and it's becoming the stage where I'm never really confident of England winning the series.
Well, it's away from
I,
home. I think we're in.
yeah,
If we don't sort out our issue with spin, we're going to have another a championship trophy that will basically be the same as what happened in the World Cup in India, where we just get found out again and again and again.
yeah,
Chakravarti, like I've already said, had us on toast every
he
game,
did.
and and no one could pick his googly. Um, and yeah, I mean he was excellent, and Bishnoi bowled pretty well as well. The Indian, I think it's kind of scary what talent India has coming through because Bumrah didn't play, Kohli wasn't there, Rohit wasn't there. I'm talking of three players that are the ones that when you think about Indian cricket over all these years, the ones that come to mind straight away, they weren't there. The only one that really was there, or only two that was Suryakumar and Pandya. The rest were all relative newbies coming in from IPL contracts and stuff like that, and they were all by a man better than what England put out there.